So we have our first images. They've emerged. These are sample photos, supposedly, allegedly, that came out of the Galaxy S20 and S20 Plus. And it's your boy. It's your pal, Max. He's back to work. That's Weinbach. He's going to have to correct me at one time so I can just start saying it the way it was intended to be said. But he went on Twitter. He said, okay, all right, let's do this. You want to see these photos? Of course I got these photos. Been leaking stuff. And it's important because, as you and I have both said in the past, Will, increasingly these decisions on which smartphone you're going to get have to do with the camera performance. And these new form factors, particularly in the Ultra version, unfortunately he doesn't have Ultra samples, the camera is dominating the actual design of the thing now. And so the performance is a necessity. You're not going to carry around this giant camera blob unless you get the performance. And I like as well in the sample photos, someone took a picture of Sega Genesis. So
old school.
They just put a little extra on there. They put they put a little thought into, oh, I'm about to leak. So I'm about to put the first images out of this thing. I'm going to throw a Sega Genesis and the storage bins and the Christmas tree that's still up in the top corner.
Might as well add some personality in there.
Yeah. Because they're busy, they're busy leaking stuff. Now, he zoomed in. These pictures in the first slide are both from the S20 Plus on the telephoto. The second one is the telephoto at a 30x zoom. Not that impressive. Very noisy. Now, granted, it does not look like there's great lighting in this initial circumstance here that the photo was taken within. And the real Zoom King will be the Ultra model, which has the 100x digital, 10x optical. But nonetheless, you scroll a little bit further and you see some low light, some nighttime shots. And this is a better comparison because this is the S10 versus S20. And the top two slides are from the S10. The second two are from the S20. So you'll see here as you flip through these that, at least to my eyeballs, the S20 looks to be superior. Particularly if you go to the one that shows the houses there. You can see a lot more detail in the back end. So if you go straight from that one back to the original wide, you see that? Up near where the houses are. You notice the detail difference. Now, granted, I should say this as we examine these photos and talk about the performance of these upcoming phones. Two things. First, this is just Max telling us this. Now, Max, he's been on point, but he's still Max. You know what I mean? He's making a name.
Give him some credit.
He's making a name. Someone could tell him, hey, this is the hot new thing. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's from that phone, but I believe him. It's from that phone. Second, this is the chewed up photo out the phone into the Twitter compression onto Willie Doo's screen into your recorder like you're seeing it. So let's just take it. Let's take it for what it is. But given that workflow right there, given that chain, that's a better looking photo. The S20 low light photo. Look at the grass. Look at the thing in the back. Look at the sharpness of the whole deal. Am I crazy, Will? Or are you seeing what I'm seeing?
No, I hear you.
Do you see what I see?
Are you gonna sing?
Do you see what I see? What is it? Do you see what? Is that a Santa song? Right. It's a Christmas tune. Kirk, you're big on the Christmas tunes. No, tunes. Yeah. Tune is different than tune, actually. It's a different thing. Next one down, he looks at the wide angle, S10 versus S20. This one is a bit more difficult to discern. In fact, I don't even know which one of those I like better. There's a suggestion in here within the article, which is on Tech Radar, that they're noticing the color, and I guess I noticed this too. The color seems a bit more saturated on the S10 version versus S20, which could be perceived as more neutral. Once again, disclaimer number 3. Who's to say that's final software? Disclaimer number 3. Yeah, it might be out the camera, might be out the sensor, but what version software? And you know how the software tweaks go right up until the event to push out the software updates. And then when you buy it, you got a software update out the box.
There you go.
You ever done a software update before, Will? Yeah. Or what about firmware?
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
What about firmware?
Oh. A lot of firmware updates.
Yeah. What do
In
you prefer,
here,
a software
forget
update,
about
firmware update?
it.
I've been getting a lot of requests, by the way, to change the channel to a
what?
firmware update, firmware therapy. All we do.
Well, I'm on board.
Yeah, all we do each episode, it's a new firmware update. And we just, together, we sit down. We have 5 or 6 that need to be updated. We update together. We don't use anything. We just update firmware.
Yeah.
I think that's a hot
Right
channel
up to
idea.
100%.
It's a hot
Or
channel
fan.
idea in 2020. But I don't think it's crazy. It is possible that with the S20 that Samsung takes a step back on the color of the thing. Historically, with Samsung cameras, they've been really vibrant. Maybe to some people's taste, too vibrant, too saturated. So maybe they do toggle it back a little touch and go for a more natural look. It's not a crazy idea. Now, like I said, it's unfortunate we don't see anything from the Ultra in some of these first images, but probably the most promising and interesting of the bunch is the low light, because the low light has to do with processing, has to do with the sensor and so forth. And it's an area where, well, there's just been a lot of attention paid to the low light and the night modes and so forth. And so we're going to expect to see some pretty strong performance out of the next generation Samsung stuff, even if this is only S20, S20 Plus rather than the Ultra model. So things are looking okay. Things are looking good for the S20 in 2020. You turned up your mic today, by the way, just a touch.
Yes.
Some people have requests. They say, we need more Willie do. So
Hear my labored breathing.
yeah, so you for the record, you know, Willie do said, hey man, I'm just a guy on planet Earth. This is what he said to me. And I said, it's fair. So am I. And he said, but I'm a guy on planet Earth. I keep the microphone down a little bit. I said, hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do. Then the comments were pouring in. Willie do, Willie do, Willie do. And it was a fever pitch. You ever heard that before? Fever pitch. I said, geez, man, I feel like you got to respond, Will. And so then today before we started, Will, he took that little knob. He turned it.
Ever so slightly.
It wasn't even a notch. Willie do, Willie. He said, fine, the time is now. And I said, look, man, the floor is yours. So you just go ahead. This is your moment right now. I'm going to just shut up for 30 seconds. And now that you have your mic up, give people a taste of what's to come.
Well, I appreciate all the people chanting my name. You know, my ego shot way up. And that's good. It's great. There you go.
No, you still got 10 more seconds.
Jesus. How's it going, Kirk? Just sweating bullets.
Yeah. I don't have headphones on, but I'm sure you sound great, Will. So congrats to Willie Doo. He's up not even a notch on the mixing board, but congrats to Willie Doo, because it's a big move nonetheless. You probably heard this story. Google, this is a rumor, but I want you to just entertain it for a second. Google might be interested in buying Tesla. What? Wow. That's crazy. And they're saying if Google did buy Tesla, that the share price could be $8,000. What? Per share? What are we doing here? And then it also says, now we are getting silly. So that does feel silly to me. That's a lot of money for a share. You're a big investor, Will. You never paid $8,000 for a share. I doubt you ever will.
No.
This speculation, Tesla stock has been gangbusters. That's what they say on Bloomberg. It's the title of the hit show, Gangbusters. Tesla stock is just going up. You see that right there? That's one day. That's one day. Look at a year to date. Look at a 1 year. Okay? Sure, give it a 5 year. Why not? Look at a 5 year. All right? What is going on with Tesla right now? You know what I think it is? I think it's the hit track that Elon put out. What was the chorus in that song? Don't doubt your vibe. Don't kill your vibe. Go with your vibe. See, he's going with his vibe, and all of a sudden he's got $782 per share at the moment. Banana Town, as far as I'm concerned. They say if a deal like this goes through, Will, it could make, look at this, listen to this, all right? I'm about to blow your mind. Tesla's market value, okay, hang on a second. Let's just go back. Google has in the past been interested in Tesla. And for those of you that are thinking, wait, where's the crossover? Google invested in Waymo, the self-driving tech, and they're marching around Silicon Valley. Well, not marching, they're rolling with those vehicles for a while now. And they even put out, what was that little Google car? You remember that one?
Yeah, the cute one.
The little cute one. So they're goofing around, and they have been. And it does seem, with the map tech and the autonomous and the tech company, that little one, it just seems like a Google thing. And now, granted, when companies get as big as Tesla is right now, the original time that Google was interested in Tesla, the valuation of Tesla was around $5 billion. I want you to take a guess today what the valuation of Tesla is. What the market value?
200.
200 billion?
Yeah.
My goodness. What do you do?
Did I get it right?
130. That's
Okay,
a massive improvement, but not enough for Willie Doo because he runs drives a hard bargain. He's a big business type of guy. If he invests $5 billion today, in 2 years he wants 200. That's the way Willie Doo does business.
Nothing less.
So 130 today, but the value ultimately realized by Google could be 1.5 trillion. That's more than 10 times higher than today's valuation. And in theory, it would make Tesla the most valuable publicly traded company in America.
It's bigger than Amazon and Apple.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Dude, you're into the T's, you're into the trillions. I know you thought back in the day when you started talking about billions, you thought it was a wrap. And then now, when you talk about a potential merger like this, acquisition, whatever it would be, you're well into those T's. You're into those T's now. My goodness. Now, it's just a rumor. Let's not get too carried away, but to me, it does make some kind of sense. I remember there was a rumor once upon a time that Apple would be interested in Tesla. I've talked about this before, Will, how, I'm into automotive content. I'm into the space a little bit. When Tesla happened, it really was this, it was this critical point when it started to pick up steam. A critical point in the sense that now automotive had the opportunity to really cross that line into technology. Not a nice nav system, not a blind spot monitoring system, but a fully electric thing without a combustion engine with an autopilot on it, even though autopilot is not exactly autopilot yet. But you look at that thing now, and I understand it has tires and wheels, and I understand that it'll get you from A to B. But I want to ask you sincerely, Will, when you look at that object, do you see a motor vehicle or do you see a piece of technology? I mean, you might as well utilize the increase on your microphone for a big question like that.
Can I say just both?
Oh, man, you're going to be a fence sitter. You're going to be a fence sitter. I did give you the whole build up, and then you're going to sit your butt squarely on the fence, which, by the way, it's a pointy fence. So I don't recommend you sit on it.
I would say for the whole experience,
Tesla, let's go
definitely software, definitely AI.
Let me go one step further. If you see the logo, the Tesla logo, do you see a tech company?
I do see a tech company.
Now, if you see a Ford logo, do you see a tech company?
No.
No, you don't. No. So I'm just saying, and of course I've experienced this as well, just being in the space, making content myself, covering Tesla a little bit on this show here. Just the crossover interest level implies to me, and the popularity of the Cybertruck, which it's just a different fan base. It's not your traditional hardcore automobile types, but your tech fans are also Tesla fans, and you see the crossover anecdotally in your social sphere all the time.
And they utilize social media very well.
You're talking about Elon?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, that is where you start to have these conversations, and even though this is a rumor and it sounds outlandish given the figures, that's where these things start to make a bit of sense. I understand people are traditionally a little leery of the big companies like Google. Like they're going to go in there and screw it up type of thing. But you can imagine a future in which Google and Tesla could work together in a better way. You could imagine that, given their core competencies. Now, I'm not saying I want that to happen. There's probably Tesla fans out there like, no way, man. No way. But Will, it seems like Elon can burn unlimited amounts of money because making cars is hard and expensive. Google has some money, Will. I don't know if you heard.
They do, yes.
Google has some money just sitting there, burning a hole. So if it could advance the whole thing, you just pump that into the engine, maybe you don't have to buy the whole thing. I don't know. Maybe there's a way. They're probably already invested. I don't know. Anyway, so that's the speculation, pure speculation. We're on barons.com, and they say still, companies worth more than $100 billion don't usually get taken over for 100% premiums. Anything is possible. More than half of Alphabet voting stock is controlled by Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Class B Alphabet shares have 10 votes to 1 vote for Class A stock. So this basically means that both Larry Page and Sergey Brin can make the call pretty much on their own. Even though they're no longer chairman and they kind of are chilling, for something like this, they can basically make the call. So it's a lot of power. What is that? No one man can have all this power. What's that from? Is that Kanye?
Kanye.
Okay. All right. There you go. Well, they do. They are two men, and they have all that power. So what do you think about that, Kanye? No, he's right, though. It could be too much. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many people sent this next one to me. It amazes me how many people sent this to me. I did not watch any Oscars. I was playing hockey last night. I did not watch any Oscars.
Were you interested in watching?
Not at all. Okay. I don't understand those things. I look, man.
It's about the dresses.
Man, some people are into it.
The suits.
Some people are into it, and I respect that.
Yeah.
You do your thing, whatever your thing happens to be. You want to see the suits and the fancy people in one room. It turns you right on. Then so be it. Hey, man, I don't know what turns you on. You're watching guys restore Hot Wheels sometimes. So,
great. Great content.
So whatever turns you on, man, I don't know. Well, maybe not whatever. Maybe not whatever. Maybe not whatever turns you on. Maybe some things turn you on. I mean, they shouldn't. Maybe you get all twisted up and you're getting. Maybe you gotta go back into the nature.
Yes.
Like we've said in the past, you smell the vegetation, and all of a sudden you get turned on by something different. It's possible. I'm just saying. But anyway, if you like the fancy suit thing going on. Remember the last one? You had Ricky Gervais goes in and takes a dump on the whole thing. And then people love that too. They're like, we got the fancy people, the suits, and we take a dump on them. It's the perfect combination. Well, I don't know if anyone took a dump last night in the Oscars. The only person here who probably watched it was Vin, I would guess. Did you watch the Oscars, Vin? He did. Look at that. He's laughing. He's chuckling over there. Of course he did. But I'm guessing there's no dump. Maybe Phoenix took a dump. I don't know. But nonetheless, people sent me this one. This one made it through on my social media. People were sending me this on Twitter. This guy, Taika Waititi, which is, I mean, what a name.
Yes.
Unbelievable name.
Do you know who he is?
Well, just because I found out after reading this. Okay. I didn't know who he was in advance of this, but of course he's a writer. He worked on a few big things, including Thor Ragnarok, and he won for Best Adapted Screenplay for Jojo Rabbit, which I'm unfamiliar with. Can you give us a background? Do you know about it?
Yeah. It's about World War II. That's all I can say.
Okay, cool. No spoilers.
It's a comedy.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he won his first Oscar. Congrats. And by the way, for the people involved who are getting awards for doing a great job, like that's not what I'm saying when I say I don't watch. It's more the whole
spectacle.
Yeah, it's a spectacle that I can't. It's just I can't really get into it, and it's long and all the rest of it. And I'm playing hockey, like I told you, and I'm smelling the vegetation.
Yeah, why not?
Get a chance, Anyway, what people sent me was not about this guy's movies or his screenplay or the Oscars. It was about the fact that when he was interviewed after the fact, they asked him a very specific question over here. He was asked what he thought writers should be demanding in the next round of discussions with producers. Okay? That sounds to me like a job, like a question, an occupation type of question. And he comes back with Apple needs to fix those keyboards. I'm like, whoa, man. People say I'm too heavy-handed with the Apple stuff they said in the past. He just went straight for the jugular. Here's a guy, he got the award, he's getting interviewed on some nice carpet in a nice outfit, and they say, hey, what are you going to ask for from producers when you go back to the negotiation table? Apple needs to fix these keyboards.
It's like, whoa.
He was waiting for a microphone. They are impossible to write on. They've gotten worse. It makes me want to go back to PCs because PC keyboards, the bounce back for your fingers is way better. Hands up, who still uses a PC? You know what I'm talking about. It's a way better keyboard. Those Apple keyboards are horrendous. This is his entire... Wow, man. No wonder people were adding me. No wonder, because I've talked about it in the past, not just whether you like the keyboard or not, but more the failure rate of the previous
The
butterfly keyboard, which they did fix. I don't know if he knows that there's slightly more travel on the new 16-inch. But I'm reading this saying, so use the PC. Look, I got one right here. I'm typing on this. I love it. But maybe there's certain software he uses that he likes. I'm not really sure why. But also people are partial to Mac, and they think they want to see a different keyboard on a MacBook, and he's obviously one of those people. He goes on, I've got some shoulder problems. I've got occupational overuse syndrome. That tendon which goes down your forearm into your thumb. If you guys are ever writing, you know what I'm talking about. And what happens is you open the laptop and you're like this, hunched over. We got to fix these keyboards. The WGA needs to step in and actually do something. I don't know who the WGA is. Writers Guild. He wants the Writers Guild. Now, maybe he's memeing. Maybe this is a troll or a joke. Maybe he's a tech fan. And he knows it would be a funny thing to go after. Is that possible? Am I crazy?
Well, it did go viral.
Because he's already a funny guy, and he's on The Verge, and now we're talking about him, so he kind of nailed it. Maybe he just knocked it out of the park. It's possible.
I mean, look how he's posing here.
It's true. He's got a sense of humor.
Comedian.
But what he wouldn't make up the thing about the occupational overuse with his arm. I doubt that. I think he's for real. Anyway.
It's for real.
I think he's for real. Anyways, no doubt he's not the only one that's upset with the MacBook keyboard. I would personally recommend, if he ever saw this, which he definitely won't, but if he did, I would highly recommend he looks at the ThinkPad X series. If he wants something the size of a MacBook Pro, the Extreme model right here, this keyboard will satisfy you beyond all measure. And talking about getting turned on, that's exactly what it'll do. Turn on your Writers Guild. It'll turn you on right in your Writers Guild. Squarely in the Writers Guild portion of your mind. Well, you didn't know you had one. So anyway, I hear you, man. I've been on and off. I will say the travel on the new one is a bit better. So if you are committed to the MacBook life, the new old scissor mechanism on the 16-inch is an improvement over the extremely low travel on the one that you're using right there, the butterfly. But then again, none of us type the way this guy would have to type. If he sits down with a screenplay, pa 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 pa, kapow. What do? We answer an email once every 5 days.
I just type yes.
Yeah, and it's one word response. So you can't really compare. Though, also, Taika, one more suggestion. If you need to be on the MacBook, external keyboard. I know it sucks. You want to be in a coffee shop. You're in New Zealand.
That's a good point.
You're in New Zealand. You want to be in a coffee shop in New Zealand, as you would. And you're not going to be the guy with the external keyboard. But I will say there's some really nice external mechanical keyboards. He probably has one. He probably just wants it on the go and on the airplane and everything else. Next up, YouTube Music is preparing to replace Google Play Music. So I don't know if you were ever a Google Play music user. But we have talked about the prevalence of YouTube Music and the fact that we all use it here in the office. Google Play Music, I did actually have a subscription prior to YouTube Music coming along. And up until this day, still when I trigger certain aspects of Android Auto in the car, it will bring up the Google Play player instead of YouTube Music. Unless I say to Assistant, play certain song in YouTube Music, then it'll come up in YouTube. But if I just say play a song, it will default to Google Play Music in most cases. So anyway, I'm a long-term user of that. But YouTube has a weird, very confusing offering in this space. What should I have and why? And Play Music existed before YouTube Music. So when did I get moved over? And was I supposed to get rid of the other one? It's still there. I still have it.
Yeah.
So there was this key distinction. YouTube Music never had the ability to load your own records into it, I guess. Your own MP3s and things like this. Maybe you can. But anyway, they're working on adding that feature. An internal version of YouTube Music recently gained the ability to store uploaded albums and songs in your own digital library within Play Music. Now, this is not something that I do at all, but I presume there's a handful of Google Play Music users who are doing this frequently, and as a result have avoided transitioning to YouTube Music because it did not have that feature. Now, the public version does not have this feature yet, but there is this internal version that's in testing right now that does and could mean that the nail in the coffin for Play Music is right around the corner, as it should be,
Yes.
because it's just confusing right now. And it's unnecessary. And Play, where are they using Play anymore? Is the store just the store?
It's still called Play Store?
Is it even called Play Store anymore? It's still called Play Store? Are you sure about that?
Let me just check.
Google Play? It was always Google Play forever. Still Google
Yeah,
Play?
still Play Store.
Okay, so the store being Play, even that I don't really like, because Play implies it's just games. Play to me is like a game or a play button. How do you
App Store?
Apple already has it.
I know, but
I mean, maybe that's why they sat around in a boardroom and they said, Apple's got App Store. What do we got? Like, Play, we're fun. We're going to buy Tesla. We're fun, remember? We like to play.
Yeah.
I don't know, Will. I don't know what they could have came up with. What is Microsoft called? Microsoft calls it Microsoft Store. Couldn't have just been Google Store.
no,
No?
it's too wide ranging.
Google App Store. Anyway,
That is
okay.
too long.
Will's shrugging and he's upset, and he might turn up his microphone another notch if he continues down his path right now. So we all got to watch out. Anyway, it doesn't matter because they need to be done with it, because Google Play Music, Google Play Store, YouTube Music, YouTube, the platform, YouTube, recognizable. Look how friendly that logo is. You're so used to it. The red and white. Oh, a play button? You just want to click it, don't you? So we need to move into the YouTube Music future. As we've talked about in the past, we all use it because of the value it represents, particularly if you get the family plan, which Will has, and shares, and you get the YouTube Premium included with it. So the transition is a long time coming and overdue. And I would just personally, on a personal level, I'd love to just say what song I want in the car and not have to wonder which app is going to open up. Now, granted, I got all kinds of problems with apps. Because when it comes to playing music, it could open Spotify, it could open YouTube Music,
Doesn't
or
it
it could
set to
open
your
Google Play Music.
Default
That's what I thought.
player?
Yeah, that's what I
It
thought.
doesn't do that.
I think Android
Google
Auto's got its own mind of its own.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you knew that. Android Auto's got a mind of its own.
Plays when it wants.
That's a good
What it
question.
wants.
There's probably a setting in there. But nonetheless, I don't even want to have it on my phone. Even if there was a way to configure it in which, let's say the problem is completely mine and I could get rid of it, just one less account for me to have, one less app to manage or wonder about or worry about or stare at the icon. Because that's a pre-installed icon on Android. Play Music is next to Play Store and it's just sitting there in a folder. If you're a YouTube Music user, let's be done with it. It's the same thing. $10 a month, premium. You know, the whole story, Will. You got to agree with me on that. You got to.
Oh, yeah.
All right, just a little bit. And by the way, we talked about it in a previous episode. Play Music, or not Play Music, YouTube Music and Premium, 20 million customers. So I don't know what the Google Play customer base, Google Play Music customer base looks like, but it's probably already antiquated. What's the other word? Antiquated? Deprecated? I don't know.
Yeah.
Dead in the water. How about that? How you like that? All right, last one here. This one is a crossover. I thought this was quite interesting. We've covered what's happening with the outbreak in China and other parts of the world and how that's affecting the tech segment. And I already talked earlier in this episode about how I like to play hockey. I'm a hockey player. I'm from Canada, so
Yes.
it's not really an
you are.
option. but I still, I play as an adult. I buy hockey sticks. And this story comes out, coronavirus is affecting the supply of sticks in the NHL. And I thought, wow. So even hockey stick tech. Now, this stick came out recently. Shout out to Bauer, because you can't find this stick. High-tech stick with a hole in the blade in order to increase the flex in the blade itself. It's called the Nexus ADV. There's the pictures. Many views on YouTube. Bauer, get in touch with Will, please, Bauer. I need one of these sticks. You can't find them. Manufacturing delays, problems, limited edition. Anyway, really cool stick. Some NHL players started to use it, including DeBrusk on Boston and other places. But here's the thing, Will. Players in the NHL don't use off-the-shelf sticks. They like to customize, and they like to use tons of sticks. So for those of you that look at the sport and you say, I don't see the technology, the stick is made out of layers of carbon fiber and glue and various composites and lots of tech going on. And what happens for an NHL player is over time, they put a lot of force into that equipment. An NHL player who takes a lot of shots might go through 6 sticks in a game because they feel like they lost pop in one that they flexed a lot, breaking some of those fibers and those adhesions and losing some of the force. Why are you looking at these? What are you looking at field hockey sticks? How dare you, Will?
What?
You got to have field hockey sticks on there. Well, no, whatever you got to do. There's probably field hockey players watching. If you don't have ice, it's the next best thing. So anyways, apparently it's a bit of a conspiracy on the inside because no one wants to come out and say it, but there is a rumor that NHL teams are on a really strict hockey stick diet right now because of coronavirus. These guys normally would pop through 6 sticks in a game, and now they're on a regimen of 2 max and 1 for practice. Because every single one of their sticks is custom order coming by the dozen and to their specific player spec. So you pick a player, and he wants a particular stiffness. He wants a particular kick point in the stick, where the stick flexes. He wants a particular custom curve, which might only belong to him, where he likes to tweak a certain thing about it. He might like a particular shaft dimension. It's unbelievable, the level of customization it might
do
go
that
into.
6 times for each player.
For each player. And then that never makes it to the shelf. It only ships to that team, and it comes straight from the factory in where. Which country?
China.
Bingo! And both the biggest brands, which represent 75% of what players are using, maybe a little more than that. No, 75% of what players are using in the NHL, both are manufactured in China. Only one manufacturer is elsewhere in Mexico, and that's Warrior. So CCM and Bauer both manufacture in China. So a couple of players actually went on the record to talk about it. Here's one. Charlie Coyle, CCM user. I've been kind of looking for some. He means extra sticks. I think they're kind of slowed up a bit for a good reason. This is his quote. So I'm trying to make do, trying to not break too many sticks right now. I don't really know what's going on over there, to be honest. Hopefully it's not too slow. Some players don't put much thought into what they use. Many are finally attuned to the performance of their most important tool, tweaking a stick's properties, the curve of the blade, stiffness of the shaft, switching to a different model entirely. Here we go. Players state their preferences to traveling sales reps who then place those custom orders in bundles of 12, and then that will arrive to your rink within 7 to 10 days. And they go through so many, they don't have to stockpile too many normally because they've always got this flow of 7 to 10 sticks showing up. It's not like a store that has hundreds or thousands in the supply chain at the warehouse.
So what happens after the sticks are used? They keep using them, right?
No, they go into trash. They go into trash, or
every game?
They go on to secondary websites like Sideline Swap, and you can actually buy a player used stick.
Every single game?
Every single game.
No.
It's insane. And some of these sticks at retail are $300.
Oh.
I know, it's nuts. Now, granted, not every player goes through 6 sticks in a game.
Yeah.
But A one-piece stick that breaks in two is clearly unusable, but pros know when a stick lacks pop. This, by the way, coming via the Boston Globe. Rather than the wood slices of the past, new sticks are glued and pressed layers of composite fibers. The force produced by slap shots and other stresses of the game make those fibers crack, fray, and lose their strength. So they feel like if I'm using this stick 2 periods deep, it's not optimal as it would have been at the beginning of the game. So they crack a fresh one every time. In the men's league that we play in, good Lord, man, if you break a stick in a game, it costs $300, people are upset.
Yes.
Man, I busted my brand new stick. You don't have a steady feed, a steady supply of these things. So It's a weird crossover, tech, manufacturing in China, and sports. They all kind of come together here. And this could actually have an impact on these guys because they're so deep in their own ways of doing things. Yes, they could use an off-the-shelf stick. They could go to the hockey shop and just get an off-the-shelf stick, which hasn't been affected by the manufacturing thing as much. But they're so tuned into their specifications that it would be, it has the potential to screw them right up, their whole performance. They're just not used to it. And these guys are so specific about their specs, they'll spend years fine-tuning how they like a stick to be.
Now, do you tune up your stick?
No, absolutely not. Actually, it's a good point, though. Bauer did release a customization option for regular users. You just pay a huge premium. So it goes up even more. It goes from about 300 to like 400, and it ships custom straight from China, and you can actually tweak certain aspects. That's another thing I'd actually like to try, but often I'm too impatient to do it because it's going to be a couple of weeks or a month to get something like that done as a regular citizen. Yes. NHL players get to fast track and so forth.
So
but anyway.
What are they going to do? Are they just going to play with 2 sticks? And
so they're going to, it sounds like right now, first of all, it's a rumor, but these players seem to know about it. So I think the NHL probably advised don't talk about that. It's rude. It's just it's just a tough topic, right? Yeah. For a sport. I think they're going to conserve sticks for the time being. Certainly in practice, they're only going to use one max. And then hopefully the situation gets sorted out a little bit in Asia and they can start to get some supply back. Otherwise, they're going to be stuck probably using retail sticks.
Oh, wow.
They might have to throw a few retail sticks into their mix.
The game has completely changed.
Yeah. And because of the sponsorship deals, they can't necessarily switch brands because they're committed to one particular brand. Now, granted, could a company like CCM bring any of that manufacturing in-house just for a small number of important players? Maybe. Or bring it elsewhere to Mexico or something. I'm not really sure. But in the meantime, there is the company Warrior that is making their sticks in Mexico, so they should be unaffected anyway. I thought it was interesting. Like I said on the previous episode, Will, when you have an outbreak like this, it's easy to have the tunnel vision and just say, oh, here's the impact and here's the effect, but it's far-reaching. You can't even perceive the number of bizarre areas in which this dude might not score as many goals now because he doesn't have his stick to his spec, then he doesn't sign the extension, then his wife hates him, so he gets divorced. I'm not suggesting that happens, but I'm just saying the effect, the domino effect that takes place because of this kind of stuff, and not saying that any one aspect is bigger or more important than the other, but it's just far-reaching. The globe, the world, the human beings that are on it, we are so interconnected in 2020 that someone sneezes halfway across the world and you have no idea how and where that's going to affect you personally. And NHL players wouldn't even been on their radar. Right. And now their most important piece of equipment, arguably, is potentially affected. Anyway, nonetheless, I thought it was interesting. Congrats, Will, on the upgraded volume level on the mic. The people will let us know. Who knows? Maybe you're coming out of there so hot now that they can't handle it. They're getting too steamy themselves. They're hearing too much fidelity in Willie Doo's voice, and you got to turn it back down a quarter of a notch. By the way, a notch is less than a millimeter. Who knows what you're going to have to do in the next episode? Yeah. But here's what we're going to do. Because it is new and because it is fresh, it's absolutely only right and only fair for you to close out the show today. And for you to tickle that microphone with those vocal cords one last time for the people out there.
Well, I'm hoping everyone has a good day. And thanks for listening and watching.